Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The internet is full of lectures about Islam. This series is not intended to lecture you about Islam in a traditional sense. It is intended to challenge our knowledge, what we know about Islam. It is also intended for non-Muslims to know about the foundation of Islam. It also encourages us to re-examine our beliefs. There are many questions beg clear answers. For example, why did Allah create us? Why are we here? What is the trust that we accepted to carry? What is our task on earth? What is fate? Am I predestined to hell or to paradise or Jannah? Is my fate determined for me? Why misfortunes happen to some but not others? Did Allah Ta'ala create evil? Why does Allah allow evil to happen? In answering these questions, you often get conflicting answers from different people, depending who you talk to. There's a lot of confusion and misunderstandings amongst the youth that I spoke with. Pew Institute ran a survey, and they found out that 25% of people that leave Islam is because they have issues with religion in general, not necessarily Islam alone. And 19% leave Islam because of issues with how Islam was presented to them. Now, the questions that we posed that are very important questions, and it can be a compass for you once they answered. The question we ask here, do these questions have a simple, straightforward answer? The answer to that is yes. So let's start by challenging the status quo. Let's challenge preconceived notions. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states in Surah Al-Zukhruf, verse 22, بل قالوا إنا وجدنا آباءنا على أمة وإنا على آثارهم مهتدون. In fact, they say, we found our forefathers following a particular way, and we are following in their footsteps. What does this mean? So the Quran summons an open mind. Even though this verse was for the kuffar, but Quran applies in every time and every place. What Allah is telling us, do not rely on traditions without verifying it. Have an open mind when you hear something new. You need to examine everything you hear. It is not enough to say that I heard this from the Imam or from a friend or from a scholar who is telling me to do something. It is your obligation to verify, to understand what you're doing, not hang it on someone else. Now, in order for us to start examining and critically think about everything we hear, there is one foundation that we need to understand, and there are 3 ground rules that we always need to keep in mind when we're listening to something new. That includes what I am saying. Feel free to take everything I say to you, throw it out of the window. But promise yourself one thing, is that you will go and research it and find out the truth about everything I say or everything anybody else is saying. The foundation is that religion, not as they made it look to us, a list of do's and don'ts, and that's it. Religion has 2 purposes. 1 is to guide us to the straight path. 2 is to make our lives easier, hence happier. If you find someone who is complicating things on you, telling you to do things that you don't understand, go and re-examine that. Research it yourself. Thinking is an Islamic fard. It's a mandatory by Allah. The 3 rules that you need to always keep in mind when you're listening to something you never heard before. First is listen to what's being said. Evaluate what's being said, not who said it. It doesn't really matter. And we learned this from hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam narrated that Abu Huraira was guarding sort of a warehouse, and a man came to rob the warehouse from the grains that were stored in there. And Abu Huraira captured him 3 times. In the 3rd time, the man states to him, if you let me go, I will tell you something that will benefit you. And he told him, before you go to sleep, recite Ayatul Kursi. Abu Huraira goes to Rasulullah and he told him what he heard. What does Rasulullah say? He said, Sadaqaka wa huwa kadhub. He told you the truth, but he is a liar. This was Satan. What Rasulullah in turn taught us here is, he evaluated what was said first. Then he told them, be careful, the person who said that, that's who he is. But what he said was true. We as Muslims need to be always judging things with the same lens, with the same mannerism that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us. The second is, when you listen to something, listen to understand, not to respond. What's the difference? When you listen to respond, you are looking for the mistakes and the errors to respond to it, and you're missing the message. No human has positive 100%. Everyone makes mistakes. When you listen to understand, you're listening to the big picture. You're taking the positive, you're leaving the negative. Like I said, no one has 100% correct answers for everything. Everyone makes mistakes. Our job is to research and find out what is good for us, what is not, and we just follow that. Thirdly, Islam does not make anyone holy. There is no holiness in Islam except what Allah made holy. He made the Kaaba, certain places, His book, whatever Allah tells us it's holy, that's holy. But no human that is holy except for whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, like His prophets. Imam Malik said that every human being, you can take or reject what they say, except Rasulullah. If we know for sure that he said it, we take it. So, just because an imam said something to you, or somebody that you hold up high in a high place said something to you, that means it's trustworthy and you have to take it without thinking, even if it did not make sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you, you need to examine, you need to research, you need to critically think. Until next time, think critically. I bid you peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.